Hello everyone, my name is Keely. Welcome to my channel. Welcome back if you've been here before. I'm very excited to start this video because I am filming a winter horror reading vlog. Now anything with a winter, snowy, cold setting I really love, and I feel like when it's in a horror book it's even better because it just feels so isolating and creepier. And there are 3 specific books in this video that I am very excited to read, and I cannot tell you what they are about right now because I don't really know. All I know about these books is that they do have a winter snowy setting. So as I pick them up, I will definitely tell you what they are about. But first, let me tell you what the books are. So the first book I will be getting from my library, and that is The Winter People by Jennifer McMahon. Now I have read one Jennifer McMahon book so far, The Children on the Hill, and I really enjoyed it. And I've heard that this author usually does a dual timeline story, and so I'm very much looking forward to this one, and I'm hoping I enjoy it just as much as Children on the Hill. And the second book is Bone White by Ronald Malfee. Now I've never read anything from this author before, but there are a few books of them that I really am interested in, and so I'm hoping that this one opens up this author's works to me and I just really enjoy it. And the third book is The Shuttering by Anya Albarn. Now this is another author that I have seen so many books from them and I am so intrigued by all of them, so I'm really hoping that I just fall for this book and I can read all of their backlist. So I actually do already have an update for you because today I went ahead and started The Winter People by Jennifer McMahon, and I am already 25% of the way through, so I can tell you a little bit about it. So like I said, there are 2 timelines in this book. One of them is in 1908 and the other one is in the present, and both timelines are set in a very small town called West Hall in Virginia. Now, in the 1908 timeline, from what I've read, we follow a wife named Sarah and her husband and their little daughter. And they live on this farm and they raise chickens and they have horses and cows. And once again, it's very snowy because it is winter. And one day, their daughter ends up dead. And then something happens to Sarah, and that's all we know because in the present timeline, we follow Ruthie. And Ruthie is living in this same farmhouse decades and decades later, and her mother goes missing. And Ruthie actually ends up finding the journal of Sarah from 1908 in the floorboards of their house. So that's all I know. That's pretty much all that's in the synopsis too. And as of right now, I am enjoying it, but there are so many people in this book. Like, there are so many characters, and every time someone's talked about, I have to remember, like, have we met them yet? Or are they a new character? So it's taking me a little bit to understand who each person is and where they fit into the story. I am one of those people, I love a dual timeline, and so I'm hoping this one is done just as well as it was done in Children on the Hill. So far, so good. But so far, the snowy winter vibes are great, and I love it. My birthday is also on winter solstice, so maybe that's why I just love the winter so much, but there we go. I'll let you know probably when I'm like 50% of the way through. Alright, I have an update for you, but it is not the update you're probably expecting. Because I finished The Winter People by Jennifer McMahon, and listen, I can explain, I fully intended on updating you at the 50% mark, but I got to the 50% mark while I was at work, and then I also finished the book at work, and I wasn't gonna film or like update or anything while I was at work. I didn't have my camera. So I finished this book earlier today, and oh my goodness, this book read so fast. Like, I didn't even feel like I read that much, and then suddenly it was over, but so much happened in this book. So I already mentioned the 2 timelines, and I feel like I cannot tell you anything other than what I have already told you, because these 2 timelines, there are so many mysteries that are intertwined within the stories and the characters, and there's all these characters introduced, and the whole time you're wondering, how are these timelines going to intertwine? How are these characters going to match up with these other ones that we've already known? And it's a wild ride. I will say, and this was like the case for Jennifer McMahon's other book that I read, that the pacing is really slow, but the way her writing is makes it seem fast. Like, if that makes sense. Like, I feel like the storyline overall, not a lot happens until the very end, but because it switches between perspectives and timelines, the way that it's written and the mysteries that are involved make it seem like you are reading so fast and you just want to keep reading because you want to figure out what's going on. Now, all of the mysteries that were introduced in this book, I was interested and intrigued by all of them, and I feel like I was never bored by any one of them. Like I said before, there were also a lot of characters introduced, but I feel like after like the beginning, it was really easy to keep them straight and know who was who because they all sounded very different and they were all there for different reasons, if that makes sense. But I just really adore Jennifer McMahon's writing, and I cannot wait to read more from her. She has quite a few books out, and I just feel like her writing is so engaging, and I'm gonna love everything she picks up. but this isn't like a new favorite book, and I honestly think I liked Children on the Hill more. So I'm gonna give this one a 4 out of 5 stars. I still really enjoyed it, and also the winter setting was so good. So the entire book took place like in the month of January, and so it is in Vermont. It is very snowy. They are hiking through snow, having to wear snowshoes and dig in frozen ground and all that stuff. So you definitely get the winter atmosphere, and I just really love that part. So because I was working today, I asked the kids that I work with at the high school what book I should pick up next, and I just gave them the next 2 titles, and they all said The Shuttering. So I'm gonna pick up The Shuttering next, and I will update you when I have started reading it. Alright, I have a reading update for you. So today I started The Shuttering by Anya Albarn, and I am already 53% of the way through, although this is reading very slow. Like, I feel like this is one of those books that even though it's short, it's taking me so long to read each page. So let me tell you what it's about. So we follow a bunch of characters. And basically this is a creature feature. This is a creature horror book, and these creatures are said to only appear when the snow falls. And so of course, why are we reading this? Winter book, so it's a very snowy setting, and these creatures are in the woods. So the main group of people we follow are this 5 group of people. It's weird relationship dynamics, and they are staying in this like massive cabin. It's basically like a mansion. So it's very isolated, and we're just following them, and nothing's happening to them so far, but we're also getting glimpses at other characters that we like don't know anything about, and then these creatures kill them. So that part is really interesting, like when the creatures are actually doing the killing and you get these high intensity scenes. Like the book opens up with a high intensity kill scene by these creatures, but then the rest of the book so far we're following this group of people, and like I said, they have weird relationship dynamics, and it is so boring to follow them. Like, I hate all the characters, and so the entire time I'm reading from them, I'm just waiting for the massacre to happen, and just waiting and waiting and waiting, because they are so just toxic and annoying and ugly, and I just don't like them. And so it is very boring to read from their perspective, because I'm like, why haven't y'all died yet? Like, nothing's happened to them, and I hate that part. But like the kill scenes are really brutal, gory, and interesting and intriguing. The setting is really cool, like the isolated, snowy, like they are in like feet and feet and feet of snow, like crazy, and like the forest, and they've seen like blood stains here and there, but like nothing's happened to them except for like relationship issues, and I can't stand any of them, so I don't care about their problems. But yeah, so not thriving so far. Not the worst book I've read, but I'm interested to see the action pick up, because right now the majority of the book is following this group of people in the cabin, and they're just annoying and I don't like them. So hopefully it picks up and hopefully things go good, but I'll probably update you when I'm like 75% of the way through. The reason I didn't update sooner was because I read this at work today. I started the book and I got to 53% of the way through. This book is also less than 300 pages, and so I was expecting it to read faster, but like I said, I feel like I'm trudging through it and it's taking so long to read, and I feel like me and the writing style just don't jive very well together. This happened recently with another book I read, and I can't remember what it was. Oh, it reminds me a lot of The Cavern. Like, so much of The Cavern, where it starts with a high intensity action kill scene and then just boring, and you hate everyone and you're waiting for them to die, and then action at the end. So hopefully we get the action at the end, but so far so mediocre. I'm updating just when I said I would. I am now at 75% of the way through The Shuttering, and action definitely started picking up. Things started getting more interesting, and it's even more isolated than it was. Like, I didn't know they could take it a step further, but they definitely did. So yeah, the winter snowy setting's going great, and we're getting to see more of the creatures, and like the descriptions of them sound like repulsive and gross and just disgusting, and I don't know exactly what kind of creatures they are. They almost seem like an alien type of creature the way they're described. I'm almost picturing like the aliens from the movie Signs, if you've seen that. But I still hate all the characters, but they're not as bad as they were because of the situation they're in now. Like, I can't tell you what happened or anything like that, but because of the situation and what's happening to them, I feel like they're more tolerable, but I still am never gonna love them. But yeah, it's definitely more interesting than it was before. Like before my previous update, I was sitting at maybe a 2-star, but now it's moving up to a 3. So we'll see if it stays that way and what the ending is like. But my Kindle says I have an hour and 14 minutes left to read. So I will probably be finishing it today, and then I will update you when I'm done. I'm back to let you know that I just finished The Shuttering by Anya Auburn, and I'm gonna go ahead and give this one a 2 out of 5 stars. It's just every time a character was introduced in this book, I was so hopeful that I was gonna like one of them, but I hated every single one of them. I thought they were all awful and annoying and just not great people, and I'm one of those people that I have to like at least one of the characters to enjoy the story, and if I don't, it's definitely just gonna annoy me the whole time. I also wasn't keen on the ending. I really didn't like how it ended. It was kind of one of those open-ended ones, but also the whole like action sequence just didn't go the way I wanted it to. The action definitely picked up in the second half, but I just didn't like how it happened or any of the conclusions that occurred. And the writing in this wasn't my favorite. It definitely wasn't one of those things where it hindered my enjoyment, but I'm interested still in reading other books by this author to see if the writing is something that I get on with better in other stories. But yeah, 2 out of 5 stars for this one. And I'm gonna start Bone White. I don't know how much I'll get through with it this weekend because tomorrow I'm running a half marathon, but it is definitely the next book I am starting, obviously, for this vlog because it's also the last one. So yeah, I will update you when I have read some of Bone White. Okay, so I started reading Bone White by Ronald Malfee today. I only got about 15% of the way through, but I'm definitely understanding enough of what it's about to be able to tell you now. So this book opens up, it is in a very, very small, isolated backwoods town in Alaska. So already a great setting. We got snowy, wonderful Alaska. My mom's from Alaska, so I'm gonna be like, Mom, have you heard of this place? It's called Dread's Hand. So like already kind of spooky. And this man, like right at the beginning, he comes into like this luncheonette place, like a restaurant type thing, I think. And he's like, kind of suspicious, like he's a local so people know who he is, and he's just like being weird, doing his own thing, and he has like dried blood stains on his clothes, and he tells them, y'all need to call the cops. I killed people. I killed a lot of people. I'm gonna be go sitting at the church and they can come pick me up. And so already we have this huge confession that this man has murdered tons of people and he's admitting to it. And then the main character we follow is Paul, and Paul's brother, his twin brother Danny, went missing within like the last year, I think, and his last known location was Dread's Hand, Alaska. So when Paul sees on the news that this serial killer has admitted to all these killings, Paul is wondering, is Danny one of them? So that's what we know so far, and it's just kind of fascinating because I love books about serial killers and following serial killers, and it's interesting because this man like straight up admitted it, but like we don't know why. He won't tell us his motive or anything, and so we don't know why he randomly decided to admit it because obviously there's a lot of bodies, so what occurred that made him finally like come out and speak about it. Also, Paul and Danny are completely different characters, and so the fact that Danny was like free-spirited and his last known location was in like the serial killer's town, what does this mean? So I'm definitely already really intrigued, especially the setting. I can't wait till it gets like even snowier. Like they've already talked about like being frostbitten and things like that. And like some of the bodies are like mummified because of how cold it is there. But it also has the mystery of what happened to Danny and if Paul's gonna go to Dread's Hand and see if he can like figure things out. But also the mystery of the serial killer, like what's going on? I don't know. But yeah, I'm definitely intrigued by it, and hopefully this is my favorite of the video. It'd be a great way to end. But yeah, I guess I will update you when I am halfway through. Okay, so I am now 50% of the way through Bone White, and I am so bored. Like, the concept and the setting are very interesting, but the pacing is so slow that I feel like nothing's happening. And like the mystery of Paul's brother isn't enough to keep me going. But I will say there is a mystery about the town that is more interesting. But I just feel like this is so slow and it's not really going anywhere right now. So this book is separated into like 3 different parts. Part 1 is like introducing Paul and his brother and the man and the murders and all that stuff. And now we're in part 2, and so we are in Dread's Hand, the town itself. And like it's creepy, there's a mystery about it, like people are always saying don't go there, like bad things happen in the woods there, like all that stuff. So that's intriguing, but it's just so slow that I don't know where it's going or how it's gonna wrap up, and I don't know if I'm interested enough. Like, obviously I'm still gonna keep reading it, but I'm not interested enough to make it seem fast-paced, if that makes sense. It just seems really slow, so I'm really bored. It is really snowy. I love the Alaskan setting, and it's literally in the middle of nowhere, so I'm loving that, but I just hope that it gets more interesting. Don't mind me. Just updating my blog. I'm reading winter horror books.
Okay, winter horror books?
Yeah. So I'm reading 3 books for this vlog, and I'm on the 3rd book already.
Have any of them been, like, really good?
The first one was my favorite so far. But it was more like a mystery than like horror. The second one was super horror, but I hated everyone. And then this one, it's like horror and mystery, but it's really slow. So that's where I'm at. Okay, sorry, my brother came home, so I had a brief intermission, but I pretty much finished what I was saying. Right now I'm just bored, so hopefully I am less bored in the second half. Hello! Okay, so I just finished Bone White by Ronald Malfee, and part 3 was definitely a lot more interesting than part 2. We were really in a snowy setting. There was some frostbite going on, and there was also like more blood and gore in this one, and more intrigue, and just a lot of questions were answered, and it got pretty dark. There was one scene that like happened, and I literally cringed because it was like body gore, but not like super gory, but there was a little bit, and I was just like, oh, okay, love that for you. Well, not really, because he was in pain, but it was definitely a lot more interesting, so I ended up enjoying it more than I thought I was going to, especially with the last clip, and I was pretty bored. But because that I was bored halfway through, and part 2 was a big part of it, I think I'm gonna give this one 3 stars, which is better. I thought I was gonna give it 2, but yeah, we're gonna end up with 3 stars. I really like Ronald Malfee's writing, so I look forward to reading more from this author. The snowy setting was excellent, and it did get like pretty creepy and took a different turn than I thought it was going to, so I enjoyed that. But yeah, overall 3 stars. It was okay. But yeah, that's the last book for this video, so I'm gonna go ahead and wrap up all my thoughts. Of course, if you're at this part in the video, you know what I thought about all of these books. But the first book I read was, what was it? The Winter People by Jennifer McMahon, and I gave this one 4 stars, but honestly, it's gonna be one of those books that as time goes on, I'm probably gonna forget about. This book is definitely more of a mystery book than a horror book. There are some like nods to horror in this, but it is definitely more of a mystery book. The second book I read was The Shuttering, and I hated everyone in this book, but it is definitely more gory and bloody, so if you're looking for that, you should give this one a try, but I gave that one 2 stars. And then I just finished Bone White by Ronald Malfee, 3 stars. This had a mixture of mystery and gore, so if you're looking for that, pick that one up. But yeah, that is it for this video. If you have made it this far, go ahead and leave like a pine tree emoji, because there were pine trees in this snowy forest. But that is it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. As always, all my social media links will be down below, and I will see you next time. Bye!